I learned a lot from Shah Rukh sir, for example. Just his kindness and his overall warmth and the way he makes any person in the room feel so special and seen all the time. I'm feeling slightly validated as an actor. You know, when you sign your film, you're almost signing your life away to people. If anyone comments something about my family, I get really, really protective about it. I think dealing with everything but acting has been, because that actually seemed like the fun part before you start out. Like, it's like, oh, it's all glamorous and fun and you have to attend parties, you have to meet people. But actually, that's way more challenging.
Hi Ananya, welcome to the Quint.
Thank you.
Tell me how things have changed for you after all the love you have received for Kho Gaye Hum Kahan.
I don't know. I feel like people are expecting something to change, or I'm expecting something to change, because I'm like, okay, this is feeling like a moment. Like, you know, it's feeling like a big shift and a difference. And it feels like something I was waiting for a really long time.
I remember, I think recently in an interview you said, I get a lot of love, but what I want is respect.
Yeah, I just said that.
Yes. Do you think this film is kind of giving you that?
I hope so. I think I'm feeling that. I'm feeling slightly validated as an actor. It is a happy and gratifying feeling when people praise my performance, but I think the relatability factor and the factor of bringing someone comfort, I think that's a bigger feeling for me. It's not about people coming up to me and saying, oh, you acted so well. I think for me, I feel more and I feel happier when people tell me how they related to the character or what it meant to them. Like, so many girls and boys have messaged me saying we feel seen and we feel like this is our story. And I felt so attached to the story, and now it's everyone's story.
What was Ananya like as a child?
As a child?
Yeah, do you remember your childhood?
I remember my childhood because my dad had this like handy cam, video cam sort of thing, and it was one of those cameras that you could like rotate, you know, so you could see yourself. I could see myself in the camera, and I discovered this at the age of like 4. And I would keep doing something, like I would dance and I would do a performance, or I'd say a dialogue, and then I'd be like, show.
Yeah.
And that's still me, so I don't think I've really changed. I was very, very confident. Up until I was like 10 years old, I would be the first one to dance at any party. So I was a very filmy child. Like, I knew all the dialogues of my favorite films. I knew all the lyrics of every song. Like, there's a video, a 10-minute video of me dancing on It's the Time to Disco, and all of like the Kalhona home music. And like, I don't even care if anyone's looking at me. I'm just looking at myself in the mirror and I'm like feeling myself. Sometimes I like see young videos and I'm like, I want that innocence and I want that like feeling of not caring about what the world thinks and just like going for it, you know, that confidence of like nothing else. You know, you feel like invincible when you're younger. And then I think when I became a teenager, I became conscious, as do most people. And then I became really nervous to face the camera or be on stage. Like, I would take part in all my plays and everything, but I'd be at the back. Like, I would never even like try or audition or put myself out there, because I think I got really scared of rejection and the fear of like failing. And I think at the start of my career, I still had those inhibitions and everything, but I feel the place I'm at right now, I feel the most myself and I feel comfortable right now.
Yeah. And you always knew that you wanted to be in front of the camera. Clearly, you were doing selfies before we even heard of the term.
I kind of was in the invention of the selfie in some way.
Yeah. So did you know even then that you wanted to be an actor?
Yeah, I mean, I just knew I loved performing. I didn't know at that age, at like 4 and 5, that you could make a career out of it, because my dad would never take us to set, and like I can actually remember like a handful of times, like maybe twice or thrice.
Do you remember which one it was?
It's not one of his like most popular films, but I remember going on the set of that film and I didn't understand it as a job. Like, I was actually one of those kids who thought when you're watching something on TV, it's actually being shot at that moment. Like, for the longest time, I believed that. And I'd flip channels and I was like, but he was here now, how is he there? And I would be traumatized if my dad died in a movie. Like, it was just the hardest thing.
But you know, not only were you in a family where your father was a star, but you also were surrounded by friends whose parents were also stars, you know. So when you look at that life, what do you remember of those days?
You know, by virtue of growing up around them or seeing them so much, I think more than stars and actors, I think I took a lot of them as human beings, you know. I learned a lot from Shah Rukh sir, for example. Just his kindness and his overall warmth and the way he makes any person in the room feel so special and seen all the time. So I think more than, I actually saw, they were all like parents to me, you know. They were all people who shaped me into who I am today. So I think more than actors and stars, I think I learned a lot more about their behaviors as human beings, and that kind of is what I aspire to be.
Right. Ananya, when you see today, like you said, you weren't really on sets, you didn't know much about what set life was like. But today, when we see, like, when a star couple has a kid, right? The paps are everywhere. They've already made those kids into stars, right? But you all didn't go through that. When you view that culture today, do you think the pressure on these kids is probably going to be just so much more? Because I feel it's us also who creates these star kids, and then when they do something, we're the ones who call them out.
Tricky situation, and it's tough for me to like even comment on that because I don't know how I'd feel if my kid was out there or put in that. But I know I'm very protective about my sister,
Yes.
so I can kind of relate to that because she doesn't like being tagged in any of these photos. She's like, I want to stay away from it and all of that stuff. So I can see that feeling of like protectiveness, and if anyone comments something with my family, I get really, really protective about it. It really depends on the person and how they choose to, deal with the beast in that way of fame and popularity and stuff.
Yeah.
It's a tricky one. Yeah.
But have you sort of now adjusted or learned to deal with, not the very unsavory things that are said sometimes? Have you kind of, in the last 4 years, learned to deal with them better?
I think so. I think I've gotten better with filtering things. I wouldn't say completely developing a thick skin because I don't even want to be so, guarded that I'm not able to listen to what people have to say. I think it is important to take feedback because you're making films for the audience. You're not making it for yourself. Yeah. So you need to know what people actually think, but you have to like filter out what is the nonsense for sure. Yeah.
But I guess that's when it's got to do with your performance, your film, your career. But when it comes to personal, that is very difficult to deal with. How do you deal with that?
I mean, as an actor, honestly, it is a part of the job and it's something that we have signed up for. When you sign your film, you're almost signing your life away to people. I mean, sometimes it does feel like it's too much. I wish everyone didn't know everything that was happening in my life. So I try to do my bit to, protect what I want to protect. But then my dad always says, if people don't come up to you and take pictures and if people don't recognize you, you'll feel so much worse because,
That's true.
I think being ignored is the worst feeling in the world. Yeah,
and especially when you're in this career.
Yeah, you want, I guess, any sort of reaction from people.
Right.
Yeah.
Talking about your dad, what is the advice that he gave you when you were starting off? Because every career, we all have ups and downs. What was the advice that he probably gave you at that time?
My dad doesn't like giving too much advice. He likes, just letting me do my own thing and possibly learning from my own mistakes, which I've done a lot. But he would always say to, every Friday changes for every actor. It's like a cricket match, and any ball can be a 6 and any ball you can get out, and you kind of just have to keep playing the game and trying to do your best with every shot. So that's something he says. And he always says, work with good people because something good will come out of it. Like, enjoy your time on sets. It's not supposed to be stressful and painful and so hard, You're supposed to enjoy what you're doing.
Is that how he always pulled himself back up, if there was anything ever?
Yeah, for sure. Because I've not seen him change at all, growing up, like nothing, no matter how successful he is, no matter what is going on in his career. I think he's always been good to people, and he's always, people always have this to say about him, that he's always smiling, he's always friendly, he leaves like a very warm impression on people. So
100%. Everyone always says great things about him.
He's a people's person. He likes making everyone around him happy. Even if the joke is on him, sometimes he takes it because he just wants everyone around him to be having a good time.
And when we talk about, films and we talk about reviews and comments, are you somebody who kind of, after your film releases, go and read reviews?
I read everything, not just reviews of the critics, but I read comments of what people are saying, random YouTube comments. And I'll go and see not just reviews of the biggest critic, but even all these YouTubers, what they have to say. Because I like listening, and I think on a day when I'm able to take it, it's quite fun, and I'm like, okay, I whatever, I can hear that. And then, I like listening to, I do check, and I do read everything, but I need to know when to stop. That's my biggest problem. So I need to know when to stop.
Ananya, when you look back at your career of 4 years, right, what are some of the things that you've discovered about yourself?
I've learned about myself that I love learning. It's constantly about learning. That's what my co-stars also say about me. Whatever I can steal from people, whatever I can take from their personality, from their work ethic, from the way their processes are, because I've not developed such a strong process. I'm not very fixed to the way that I work on every film. It changes with every film. So I think just learning from the people around me, getting better. I don't think I ever come on set with a fixed idea of exactly what I'm going to do, because I think that will be a big downfall for me. Because
you feel like you need to stay open?
I need to stay open in a way. I need to learn my lines and be great at that and never forget my lines. But beyond that, I like to leave things open to what's going to happen on set.
And if I had to ask you, what has been the most challenging part for you in the last 4 years?
I think dealing with everything but acting has been, because that actually seemed like the fun part before you start out. Like, it's like, oh, it's all glamorous and fun, and you have to attend parties, you have to meet people. But actually, that's way more challenging than actually, you know, being on set and doing the acting part. And I think also what I'm finding challenging is, I find it challenging, I wouldn't say challenge, I find it tough to say no. Because I have a lot of FOMO. So even when it comes to scripts, like, I'm like, okay, but if I don't do it, someone else will do it. And what if it's like an amazing movie and I'm just like really bad at, you know, judging things. So I think I find choices challenging. Like, because it's actually, like, people always say, it's not what you say yes to that makes you, it's what you say no to. So yeah, I find my mom had to buy me a book that said how to say no, because I can't say no. I find it so tough to say no to something.
Do you remember a kind of a day when you weren't feeling your best, say? What's that one thing that you do to pull yourself out so you never go down the black hole if things are not going your way?
Honestly, nothing fixes me like working. Like, actually nothing does, because you don't have a choice. There are like 100, 200 people sitting there waiting for you to do your best, and you have to do your best, and you only have that one shot. So I think realizing that and remembering that has always saved me on a bad day.
You don't find it kind of challenging or difficult to be this person when your mind is not really feeling there?
You don't have a choice. You actually don't have a choice. You can't sit there and complain and be like, oh, I had a bad day, when there are like people relying on you for their daily wages and their daily work, you know, and you only have one chance, and like so many people are dying to be in your position. You can't let that go or mess that up because you had a bad day.
That's true.
Yeah, you can't let that happen. You just can't. There's no way that you can let that happen.
So you're doing a lot of different stuff and getting a lot of love and respect.
Yeah, so manifesting it always.
All right, thank you so much for talking to me, and good luck for everything you're setting out to do, Ananya.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You.